also restitution to the city.
Yeah.
He can have restitution hearing if he wants to, but it's not. Like I said, it's not.
950.
Right, he knows that?
Yep.
All right.
950 restitution.
All right, Mr. Baker, we have a lot. I'm ready on Garcia. I have an answer on that.
We're ready on Mr. McHenry and Mrs. Samuels, I believe.
Okay. Well, let's do those then. Just give me a minute. All right, let's, Mr. Garcia, let me tell you what's happening with him. He owes 35 days that he never served. He has a total of 6. He'll serve those out. There's an order for restitution that was submitted by the victim. I'll take care of that. And then what I would do is, as soon as he's done with his jail, set a new probation review date. Okay? And he'll have to be served with this. So we'll have to make a copy of this and serve it on both him and the DA. All right, Mr. Weber.
Yeah, I believe we have Keith McHenry on this side. I believe we have a agreed on disposition of this.
All right, let's slow it down here just a minute. All right, Mr. Jonathan Keith McHenry is present, and Mr. Jagarja, you're here with Ms. Samuels.
I understand. McHenry is going to plead guilty, no contest to
Get that out here.
and he would place a 1-year summary probation to obey all laws. He would be ordered to serve 60 days, which can be done or released.
That's the alternatives.
And he would be ordered to pay restitution to the city of
Santa Cruz. But you said it was $950.
Right.
There will not be a driver's license suspended. There will not be.
He will be ordered to stay away from the Pacific Guard Mall with the exception that he can participate, he can be at the
Post office.
Which is on the north end of the Pacific Guard.
Pacific Avenue, but otherwise he's to stay away from Pacific Avenue south to Laurel Street.
Right. And then he also will be allowed to participate at the City Hall, and he's only going to be ordered to stay away from his assistant city manager, which is
Scott Collins.
Scott Collins.
Can we slightly amend the tell that boy to go and to do it on Saturdays and Sundays? No.
That's his call.
Okay.
All right, just a minute. I'm going to get a waiver form together in this, just to be on the safe side. Okay, let me do this.
Yeah, and this is in exchange for Anna's case being
All of her cases will be dropped, and all of your other cases will be dropped, including the traffic matters. Be pleading only to the matter on line 50, which is M87477. The remaining cases will be considered for purposes of sentencing, but they will be dismissed in the interest of justice. And in addition to that, all of Ms. Samuel's cases will be dismissed as well.
Okay, I'm going to have them do a waiver form.
And just additionally, I think Mr. McHenry, at the time of the sentencing, can occur like anybody would be able to, wants to make just a brief statement as to why he did what he did.
It's going to be very brief.
Yeah, it would be great if you could describe our history with one another.
You know, I wish I could, just let me see how my back's feeling. You know, one of the things is, age is catching up with me, and I'm trying to be in good shape caught up with it. Let me see how my back's doing. You know what? It's not funny. Actually, I haven't slept in about 3 nights. I understand your pain. It's not, I don't don't want to take opioids. I don't want to take painkillers. You know, this is the discussion I had with Mr. McHenry. Respect, and I don't see it. Whoever made the comment can leave. Think about it, and then when Mr. McHenry makes a sentencing statement, let him make his statement, and I don't want to hear hooting or hollering. This is not a city council chambers. This is not a place where we're going to have a cheerleading section. If you want to have that, there are sporting events.
So you don't bring it up later, Mr. McHenry's lying to his own in New Mexico. Come on, he just won't know that 30 days later.
That's fine.
Today.
That's not a problem. I'll just send him over there. He can make arrangements. All right, Mr. McHenry, if you take a few minutes and go through this waiver form, maybe Mr. Jabarjian, you can show him as well. Go through it.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Many of you know me. Many of you know of me. I am who I am. I'm somebody who, I'm very open. Many of you see me on the street. I walk a lot. But when we come in here, it isn't Paul, it isn't Marigonda, you have to have these boundaries. And this isn't a kind of a position where you can just say, oh, I'm not feeling well, I'm not coming in. You got to come in and you got to deal with it. I spent a lot of time talking with Mr. Jabarjian, Mr. Weber, and Mr. McHenry. This is hollow, I'm sure. As my wife would tell me, sorry for being short, sorry for snapping. But that's who I am. Every judge is different. I'm Italian, and that comes through. It comes through loud and clear. So it has its positives and it has its negatives. I'm also not a good patient, but when I go to the doctor and the doctor says, I'll give you, if you want something, a painkiller, and the very next article I read is about the heroin epidemic in this country, it's the last thing I'm going to do. Opioids are a terrible thing. So, all right, Mr. McHenry, come forward. Now, before we take it...
See the paper.
Yeah, I filled it out. Thank you, Mr. Weber. All right, before we begin, I do have to make a disclosure on the record. I recognize Mr. McHenry from a prior life. Back in 1988, when I was a young attorney in San Francisco, before I came to the district attorney's office here 27 years ago, I did represent a neighborhood association, the Cole Street, I believe, neighborhood association, Cole Valley, who was seeking something from the Parks and Recreation Commission against food, not bombs. And I did represent them at that time, and I did make an appearance. I did disclose this to Mr. McHenry, but as I explained when we were discussing the case in the back, a plea bargain is with the district attorney. And I don't really have the judge doesn't really have a lot of say with that, and that's why Mr. Weber is kind of the person that is running the show here in this as far as the disposition. Mr. McHenry.
Also, for the record, the court also indicated to Mr. McHenry that if he wanted to disqualify Judge Marigonda based on that disclosure and seek another judge, he could. And Mr. McHenry said he did not.
Right, I was fine with this.
Great, thank you very much. Mr. McHenry, did you go through this waiver of rights form carefully before you initialed and signed it?
Yes, I did.
Do you understand all the terms of the disposition?
Yes.
Okay, what I'm going to do, because you are going out of town, is I am going to do something a little different. I'm going to say that you have a stay of 30 days to go sign up for the custody alternatives. Let's just say sign up with the custody alternatives by March 1st. That means go over there by March 1st. Okay. And then I'll delay any payment on basic fines, which are fines for everyone too, and try and put that out 6-7 months, all right? Okay. So these are your initials and your signature on this waiver. All right, you want to take care. All right, do you have any other questions about the disposition?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. All right, based on my review of the waiver of rights form and discussing it with you, I find the knowing, intelligent, voluntary waiver of your rights, find them to be freely and voluntarily given, and therefore the court accepts your no contest plea to the charge of penal code section 594A, subsection 594, subsection A, misdemeanor, case number M87477. Is there a motion to dismiss the remaining cases against Mr. McHenry and the cases against Ms. Samuels in the interest of justice based on a plea bargain?
Yes.
That is granted. Ms. Samuels, your cases are dismissed. Mr. McHenry, your remaining cases are dismissed. And before I pronounce sentence, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, well, my act of returning the blue boxes to the street were done because I think that the city council did not respect the community when they removed them. And I think it's really upsetting that our city council did not respect the street life of Santa Cruz. And that they voted to put 61 boxes on the street, and then they clandestinely really removed them. Without public hearing. These are the blue boxes for performance on Pacific Avenue. So what I did was I replaced the 33 blue boxes that were taken away after an informal 6-month review of the performance spaces. You know the blue boxes on Pacific Avenue?
There were
Okay, yeah, they're little borders. Yeah, so they're little blue L's. And you could stand in those L's on Pacific Avenue for 1 hour selling your jewelry or playing music or any of the other many things. In my case, before the blue boxes, I would go out and paint on Pacific Avenue and try to sell my artwork. So these blue boxes were removed, and performers were then fined $350 for not being in the blue boxes, and the blue boxes were half of many as had been voted on by city council. So I went and put the 33 new spaces back so those performers would have the right to free speech and free expression on Pacific Avenue, which has been a tradition. And when I was on Pacific Avenue in the 70s, it was very lively with artists and musicians performing. And I feel like this kind of slowly removing free speech on Pacific Avenue is really where the crime is. That's the real crime. Now, if they wanted to remove 33 boxes, they could have had a public hearing, had street performers come out and say how that would impact them negatively, but they didn't do that. They just removed 33 boxes and started writing already poor people $350 tickets. It's not easy to make $350 a day busking in the little blue box, and yet now many poor people are having to pay all these fines for being on the street. So that, to me, is the most important thing, is to defend the rights, and I hope that others will either will continue to fight for the right for street performers to be on the streets, that they actually abolish all the boxes and allow people to manage themselves, which had happened for 30 years on Pacific Avenue without any real problem. When there was a problem, the street performers dealt with it themselves. This heavy-handed measures against free speech are really outrageous. And so that's why they were returned. And in the other matters, I think they just were sadly trumped up for the purpose of trying to get rid of me, as was the case in the cases that Archie read about when he doesn't have enough information, where I was silenced in San Francisco with phony charges, and I was silenced in where I was attacked by Mitch Rommel in 1994, a phone booth, which I pled out for, even though I was the victim, and I was attacked by 5 Marines on the first day of the Iraq War in Tucson, where I ended up being convicted, even though I had 50 witnesses that said that the only person that did any violence was the alleged Marine, or was the Marine who attacked the whole protest, including me. And so, I understand Archie also has done civil disobedience, and I really respect that. And I was doing civil disobedience on the same cause as Archie was, the apartheid in South Africa, and including my own organization in South Africa, getting arrested in South Africa against apartheid. And that I've written several books on nonviolence, and I'm really sorry that Archie had misinformation from other criminal justice sources that I somehow have this history of being violent. And if the facts in the Scott Collins case were to really come about, we've noticed that the police report was completely wrong there, and I certainly, felt like immediately after I called Scott Collins chicken shit that was inappropriate, I don't think that's a good way to organize or be political. I don't agree, sadly, that city council's not been as respectful of the citizens, and so the few times of disruption that I was involved in were when, really not the city council itself, but then the police like snuck in a Bearcat without any public comment for like 2 years, tried to get it on a consent calendar. So I think some of this outrage at city council has been justified, but I do think it should be personalized. When you're insulting a person, I think that all the city councilors should be respected, and I have spent time meeting with them on these issues. I think as a body, the city manager's office and the city council are really not respecting they're respecting more the will of very wealthy residents of Santa Cruz, and not really hearing that we can't fund their campaigns. The message of the people that are out there giving tickets $350 for trying to play music on Pacific Mall.
Well, I have some comments on myself.
Okay,
First of all, there are systems that are put in place. There's people who don't want any street performance down on Pacific Mall. And if those people were to go down and remove those boxes, they would be prosecuted too. So it's not personal to you or to Santa Cruz. I lived in a segregated South. I know what discrimination is. I know what poverty is. I lived it. I don't have to read about it. You don't have to write a book about it. I know what it is. Okay. And I told you, in fact, I participated in civil disobedience. You decided that because you felt that you did your own individual review, that you were going to take them on your hands and do something otherwise. If someone else had done that, you would say it would be wrong, and you would want me as a prosecutor in this court to punish that person. It's not up to you. There are people, I have to live in this community too. People run up and down behind my house and throw their garbage there all the time. They graffiti my wall. I don't go out and beat them up because they leave their needles there all the time. I take my daughter out and her friends out in the harbor, and we have to with a bunch of kids, and they've got needles floating in the water. It's not up to me to make the laws. It's not up to you to make the law. It's for us to be respectful for each other and use the systems that are put in place to change the law. And for you to come in and say, well, you made the decision, you would be upset if someone else came in and said, come in and attack food not bombs and destroy your right to peacefully assemble and pass out food. So all I'm asking you to do is to give them the same respect that you want. That's all I'm asking. And I'm not punishing because of it. I'm not more or less. And like I said, I know what discrimination is. I know what poverty is. You don't have to tell me about it. I lived it. All right. I lived it longer than you. Okay.
I would never criticize not at any time trying to tell you about poverty. I grew up in the segregated South.
Yeah.
I was fortunate. I was white when I grew up in the segregated South.
Legalize needle exchange.
Okay. All right. Enough. I don't. The place, once again, the place for politics.
Legalize needle exchange.
Ma'am, please.
Legalize needle exchange. Legalize
Ma'am.
needle exchange.
Ma'am.
Legalize it.
Ma'am.
Where you live,
You're out. But Mr. Weber, that's enough. Mr. Weber, everybody, that's enough. It's 2016. We're going to have lots and lots of opportunities to vote. Vote early, vote often. That's what I always say. You know, the one thing that if you guys look in the Sentinel archives, you'll see a picture of my two sons when I dragged them down for early voting a couple of years ago. But that's how important it is. All right, I'm going to move on. The sentence is as follows. And Mr. Weber, you'll have to help me out here again. But anyway, it's a 12-month conditional sentence. There is the bail laws, $950 restitution to the city of Santa Cruz. Stay off of Pacific Avenue between Water Street and Laurel Street, except for the United States Post Office.
Can I ask a question, Your Honor? Can we go to the Delmar theater?
9%.
No. Talk to your attorney. Mr. Gargin's an excellent attorney. He can answer these questions. Hold on a second. I got that there. Have no contact with Scott Collins, Collins. 60 days in the county jail to be served out on the custody alternatives program. State to sign up for that to March 1st, 2016. $150 restitution fine, $30 court security fee, $30 facility fee, total of $220, all due and payable within 9 months on or before November 1st, 2016. So you don't have to get an installment plan charged. Further restitution, a fine of $150 imposed, state pending successful completion of conditional sentence. Is that correct?
That sounds about right.
He's a friend of the
Cases are dismissed.
Yeah, everything's dismissed otherwise.
I believe he was booked before midnight and released after midnight on a promise to come to court.
Oh, hold on. No. Let me look. That is, thank you. 824, we'll tell you right now, 824, no, that's 2 days. 2 days credit. Thank you. Good call.
Also, does the people that put up the bail, they're going to be notified, or do we know?
Bail bonds are exonerated.
Great, so
Thank you.
so they don't have to pay any bills.
No, thank you for reminding me of that. Okay, good. All right, we'll give you some paperwork.
We want to put on the provision, but may attend city council and city hall functions,
Yeah,
so
so
long
we
as
could
it's a
just
stay,
do it.
which Mr. Weber had agreed to, so if we could include that.
I can still participate in the,
I have no objection to that.
right, thanks. Thanks,
You have to decide. Thank you, Archie.
No, I just... All right, we'll get this done. All right.
She has me the protection.
Next.
No,